Join join us each Saturday for the Justice is Here podcast, an innovative, revolutionary podcast that speaks to justice for all party members across America. We'll speak to leadership, we'll speak to activists, and most of all, we want to hear your opinion. So if you're tired of the two-party system and how it doesn't work for you, tune into this podcast to learn how we can take back the justice that we deserve. Thank you. Hello, everybody. Hello, and welcome to the 17th. We have done this show for 17 straight weeks. 17th episode of the Justice is Here podcast. Before I let my guest introduce himself, I am going to pay off a whole bunch of bills that we have. And I'm trying to get to them. Yeah, I wanted to take that away. So remember to visit the Justice for All website at justiceforall.us. Justiceforall.us. That website again is justiceforall.us. Subscribe to this channel. I ask it every week. We're up to 370, which means we're 30 away from 400, but we're still a long way from 1,000. 1,000 is the goal by December. So remember to subscribe. Follow the Justice is Here podcast on TikTok. Follow the Justice is Here podcast on Blue Sky. Follow the Justice is Here podcast on Instagram. And mark your calendars and mark them now, August the 30th at 6 p.m. Join us for the Justice for All Fundraising-A-Thon. Yes, if you're on my list, you would have gotten an email from me asking for talent and the like, but we will be having special guests, entertainment, and learn how you can get involved to help the Justice for All raise $25,000 in one night. That is the goal. That is August the 30th. Mark it down on your calendars. We're going to have a great time. Help us to get 50 likes and 35 shares. And last but not least, like, subscribe, share, and please comment. We have a lot to talk about. Howard, I love that question mark on your phone. I'm like, I love the question mark. That is hilarious.
Oh, that's why. I was wondering how you could see it, and I can't see any comments. I see now. Okay.
You got them question marks. I'm like, oh, okay. So, Jay, go ahead and introduce yourself to our audience.
Okay. Speaking of paying bills, I'm JD Starks, just recently elected treasurer of the National Committee of Justice for All Party. So donate wherever you can. I'm gonna be walking around collecting envelopes for whoever got them. But I guess that's part of my function now. So yeah, don't forget August 30th. We're trying to raise some money. We always try to raise some money. That's just what being an independent party looks like, asking people for money without promising anything in return for that money, just to keep being independent. So yeah, and that's is that enough of an introduction? I guess JD Starks.
Yeah, tell us, because we're going to talk about what you're doing in New York, because I know
okay.
What state?
Illinois.
I thought you would New York. Illinois.
New York, and a few, yeah. But
because you have that accent. I do not know why. See, I literally
maybe I listen to a lot of rap. Maybe
that accent tells me New York, but Illinois. We're going to talk about what you're doing with Illinois and how you can help us here in Indiana. But we're just one big happy party. Guys, we've got a lot of news to get to. But before we get to that, I've always got to ask my first time guest, because this is Jay's very first appearance on this show.
Or anywhere.
So we're breaking. We're really gonna break Jay in tonight. I'm going to. assume that you worked with getting Dr. Cornel West elected to be president of the United States in Illinois. Um, Talk about what made you say, yes, this is the person, him and Dr. Abdullah, that I'm gonna support. And I know Illinois ended up being a right-hand state like Indiana did. Talk about that whole process.
Initially, when I first found out that Dr. Cornel West was running for president, I was immediately interested. At the time, he was dealing with possibly a few different potential parties, and I think People's Party was involved, the Green Party. Before it was Justice for All Party, and I was more interested in Cornel West getting elected, whatever the party was, and then eventually, when it became Justice for All Party, I was like, okay, I can get behind this, and hopefully get to the point where it's like getting it on ballots in different states like Illinois, and petitioning to get him on the Illinois ballot was like my first petitioning of any kind ever. So from there, basically that was my introduction to petitioning and hitting the streets and what have you. After the election, turned out the way it did, joined other organizations, and also wanted to get more involved in Justice for All Party, making it as a political party organization and something that in the next election, people won't be saying, hey, who is this? Where y'all come from? And we'll have a track record, hopefully, of slating candidates and running in different elections in state, local, what have you. And so that's where I am now, and that's what I'm interested in furthering. And that's pretty much it. And locally,
yes. You go ahead.
I was going to say locally, working with Chicago Alliance Against Racist Political Repression, and we're trying to get a referendum passed on community power over policing, and eventually like to tie the Justice for All Party in locally with that and get some support that way as well. But so I guess one of the first steps is getting Justice for All Party slated in Illinois formed as an Illinois party. So we've been having initial Zooms, informal Zooms. We had one in May. I got another one coming up next week, trying to invite whoever petitioned in Illinois, whoever was involved in Dr. West's campaign in any way in Illinois. We've been inviting them. Also, at the rallies last week on celebrating President Trump's birthday, so to speak, we at rallies then I was passing out flyers for this Zoom. So hopefully we're gonna have a bigger turnout next week and be able to get things popping in Illinois as well for Justice for All Party. And we had met with attorney Legal Eagle Mike McCorkle, who gave us some pointers at the last meeting. So we're hoping to have him at the next meeting as well. And he was giving us some good pointers about city and district elections and what you need to get on the ballot, citywide, statewide. And it seems the more local it is, the less of a threshold you got to meet to get on the ballot. So that's where we're at now, and I'm learning as I go along. Definitely.
Absolutely. Got a couple questions. So in Illinois, how many signatures would it take to have gotten Dr. West on the ballot?
It would have been 25,000, but as they impeached signatures, we would have. I think they said we would have needed 37,500. 37.5.
So we're at the same number, right? Because we needed, and I still know this exact number, 37,963, and our goal was 75,000. Because it sounds like to me you live in a petty state like I live in a petty state, and they just throw out just no reason. Just no reason. But we will be talking about ballot access again, because as we move forward in the Justice for All Party, we're going to be running candidates. So we're going to have to tread this road all over again, because you have the demopubs, that's what I call them, the demopubs that are scared, and they will put any barrier, any obstacle in the way so they can stay on the ballot. So I was curious as how many signatures that you needed. Last question, because you said that you got your introduction into petition and gathering, and so did I. Can you briefly describe what your experience was petitioning?
Briefly, I was surprised by how many people would ask, "Who's Cornel West?" And that was I guess. Other than that, it's I guess hit and miss, and you pretty much accept that everybody's not going to want to sign your petition. But when someone said, "Who's Cornel West?" and almost didn't know where to start with, you know, I didn't know how to explain to someone who never heard of him what he, because he does so many, he's a philosopher, educator as well, and I didn't know what approach to take them. Oh, you've seen them there, you've heard of them there. So, but yeah, that was my biggest takeaway was not a lot of people, but more people than you would expect was like, who's Cornel West?
I ran into that too, but my experience, I'll tell you what, we need more people to sign up to gather petitions, because that job is not for everybody. I'm just gonna be honest. It's not for someone like me, because I literally have no patience. You either gonna sign it or not sign it. It's like, I don't have all day sit here and have conversation with you. I'm not gonna do it. What we ran into was the whole, well, I don't want Trump. And we kept telling people, look, we just want his name on the ballot. That's all we wanted, was his name on the ballot. But they were like, well, if he gets on the ballot, somebody might vote for him. Well, that's the idea. Okay. And that'll take, and then in their minds, that would take away a vote from Harris. One, she doesn't own the votes, and two, that logic is irrational. But people really were like, they were so scared of Trump that they were just like, okay, forget genocide, forget no proposal for a living wage, forget nothing about ending homelessness. We're just scared of Trump, and we got to stop him. Although, how did that turn out? Because he actually ended up winning, but
few people signed saying, "Hey, I'm a Trump guy, so yeah, I want a alternate, candidate," because they were thinking that they were going to help Trump get elected, because naturally a third party or an independent party is taken away from Democrats. They ain't taken away from Republicans. They actually, Democrats act like the votes belong to them, and we're taking some away from them. But I looked at it as getting people to vote who weren't going to vote. A lot of people weren't going to vote at all and didn't vote, but we trying to increase votership, not take away from, but that's the way people saw it, Even some of the Trump supporters who signed the petition thought they were doing it to ensure Trump wins, because no conservatives wanted to consider a third party, only the blues, so to speak.
So we got it in here. Somebody didn't put my name. J Starks 2026.
Yeah, right. Sure. Okay.
And he notice that look on his face, like he's like, yeah, right. Rue, by the way, does that when he wants somebody to run for office. So he just put your name 2026. That's what he means. Oh no, see, I don't know. This must be a running joke. I done told y'all about 95,000 times. It ain't gonna happen. It's not gonna happen. No. One more time. No. But I want to talk about something unusual. So we talked about, and I don't know what I was on. I literally thought, Americans did not, poll after poll kept saying they didn't want Biden, they didn't want Trump, they didn't want Harris, they didn't want Trump. So I'm thinking, oh, Dr. West has got a chance. And then I woke up election day. It's like, and said, ooh, it's probably not going to happen. And I was ready to pack it in and say, I'm done. I've done everything I can do. I started off with the congratulations to the 47th president of the United States, Dr. Cornel West. I was done. I'm like, this it. I can't just let America just go. Just let it go. If this is the way the country wants to go, oh well, I'm done. And then Trump took office. And boy, oh boy, we need a third party. We need several third parties, but since this is justice for all, that's what I want to talk about. Talk about the need that you see for the justice for all party.
Well, I look at it as, I guess you call it optimistically, but I think a lot of these executive orders and what he's been doing is kind of pushing people towards independent parties and what have you. It's kind of doing a good selling job for, this is why we need independent parties. A lot of people that showed up last week and recently, and we seeing that what Trump is doing needs to be combated, and not necessarily by the DNC, so to speak. So I'm hoping that what he's doing is increasing interest in independent politics. That is one way of seeing it. Instead of saying, how can the Democrats beat them next time? And how can we, what are the Democrats going to have to do? It ain't all about just what the Democrats going to do, you know? Unless you want to just say it's going to be two parties forever. But maybe more people, especially younger voters, are going to say, maybe we need more than two parties, and maybe more than three parties. Who knows? You know?
That's an excellent point. And I think I've said this on the show too, is I've never seen a time where Democratic voters are frustrated with their elected officials. And then on the other side, Republican voters are frustrated with their elected officials. I've never seen a time like this. And I'm like, this is the perfect time for Justice for All to step in and say, look, here's the all, this is the bad things they've done to you. Come join a party that actually has your values, except for if you're KKK, Aryan Nation, homophobic, transphobic. We don't, see you later. But we're a party that will actually do what it is that we're saying that we're going to do. Right? I mean,
yeah, I was going to say during the last election, I don't know who to give credit to this saying from, but I heard it from somebody, and I'm just going to take credit until someone tells me where it came from. They were saying conservatives recognize no foes to the right, or Republicans recognize no foes to the right. Democrats recognize no friends to the left. You could be Proud Boys, Oath Keepers, whatever, and the Republicans won't denounce you. And you might lean towards socialism or free health care, etc. And the Democrats will call you, hey, we ain't that radical and leftists like they are. And that seemed to strike home to me. And we need, something more to the left of the DNC. And these independent parties, third parties, seem to be, hopefully in the next few years, going to build momentum to be viable. And actually, in the last election, I was also, even if Dr. West didn't win, I was hoping to get that threshold where they can, I think you get 5% of the votes, you get a cut of some of that, what do you call it, election money.
Federal fund, election funding.
Right. And I was hoping at least they would get to that percentage. But that's another thing we're pushing towards, not just electing people, but hopefully getting to the point where it's, recognized as a party. And like everyone's heard of the Green Party. Not everybody's heard of Justice for All Party. Right?
Very few people have heard of the Justice for All Party. Right. I've been sitting down, it feels like I'm giving tutorials. It's like, now this is what the Justice for All Party believes, and this is what we believe in, and this is what we stand on, and this is how we do. Yeah, and I'm trying to think of how I can phrase my next question, because it's always interesting to me when I think about elections and think about people in terms of what they say they want and what they're willing to tolerate. And I forgot to announce this at the beginning. Next week, there will not be a Justice is Here podcast. Instead, at 6:00 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, there'll be my 4th annual Black Voter Forum. It will be 5 African-American females. We're going to come in. We're going to talk about our thoughts, our future. It's called Our Future, Our Voices. So don't look for this show at 7. There won't be a show next week. I forgot to announce that. But instead, we will have Our Future, Our Voices at 6 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Look forward to that. I've talked to all 4 participants, and we're just going to have a great time. But I always, when I speak to Democratic voters, especially Democrats, I don't know about you, but when I publicly said, hey, Dr. West, that's the only person I'm voting for. I'm not voting for anybody else. I don't care. You can say whatever you want. I got called, you must be for Trump. You're just going to cause Trump to get elected. Meanwhile, the same people that said that ignored the issues that led me to come to that conclusion, i.e., support for Israel. That, to me, was the line that I was not willing to cross. I wasn't going to cross it. It wasn't anything that it was just for me. That's it. It was like they were asking me, hey, just wipe out that she literally said, I'm going to give Israel everything it needs. And just vote for her anyway. I couldn't make that jump. I'm wondering why so many people were willing to make that jump. I'm like, but...
It's like a what you call it, a misplaced faith that, they'll change. Well, after the election, then they'll say ceasefire. They want to get elected first. And then they also accept catering support from the same union busting billionaires that support the GOP. So it's not a whole lot. The differences between the Democrats and Republicans are important, but it's fewer of them, I think. And I haven't paid attention to what the Democrats are doing in so long since we've been dealing with the steering committee and what have you. And I guess you got a Republican and a Democrat. What do we call us in the Justice for All party? We're what's Justice for Allers? You know what I mean?
I like to call us love warriors, but I know
I like that, love warrior. That's what that was.
I think that's what the name Dr. West gave us. And I'm like, okay, that's what I say. I don't know if anybody else wants to say that, but
I'm gonna go with that. Especially
but
now
when I hear people talk about what it is they want, I'm like, don't you realize that the party that you're advocating for, I'm gonna give a good example. Most Republican people that I talk to are pro-life. They just are pro-life. They don't believe in abortion. They think it's wrong, whatever. They never have asked themselves, Trump has the White House, the Senate, the House, and the Supreme Court. Have anybody seen any bill that's going to ban abortion nationwide? No, you have not. Conversely, with the Democrats, who are more pro-choice, you had Obama that had 60 Democrats in the Senate, had the House, had the presidency, and could kind of lean the courts more towards his way, and chose not to codify it. And I say that to say this. They playing in y'all faces. I don't know how many podcasts I've gone and saying that phrase. They playing in y'all faces. They use these issues, one, to raise money. That's what they do. That's literally what they do. Donate to us so we can defeat Trump. Well, sorry, you had $2 billion. If you couldn't have figured out how to do it, why am I giving you money? But that's the number one reason they do it. And they use it as a division tool, right? I can have conversations with people that are pro-life all the time. I can have conversations with people that are against issues that I'm for. But they use it as a divider, and somehow that division travels to the polls with people. And they'll just say, oh, the Republicans, they're for the life of the child. Meanwhile, they cut social spending for SNAP and
let the kid grow up a little while, and then they'll be all for executing them for something.
Exactly. That's what I'm like. Wait a minute, you're not making sense. I think that's my frustration. Is another reason I kept this podcast going. Is wait a minute. My cousin Nelson. Kamala Harris was pro-genocide, but according to her, she can make a mean bathtub. You know what?
I wasn't even looking at. Oh, I see.
You know what? I just think I'm like, but you're not making sense. The things that I hear people say they want: Medicare for all, guaranteed jobs program. You're not taking that to the polls and voting that way. You're literally voting for politicians saying, no, I'm not for that. You had Joe Biden that literally said, if Medicare for all gets to my desk, I will veto it. And you told me to vote for him anyway.
And fund the police. Remember that. We can't defund the police.
Fund the police? I'm going to give more money. I'm like, what? Are you?
Yeah.
And please don't start me on defund the police. That's a terrible slogan. No, that's something that needs to happen. I'm pro defund the police. Pro. You don't have to like it. You can hit that unsubscribe button. You're not gonna change my mind.
For me, I'd say defund the police budget. Look at it that way, okay? We're fiscally responsible and everything. Let's defund the police budget. All right, you need police, you need public safety, cool, but they don't need a bigger budget than the Board of Education, so to speak.
And they don't need military-style weapons. Why does IMPD, our police department here in Indianapolis, have tanks? What are you having a tank for? What are we doing that says, hey, we need tanks? Well, for what reason?
Exactly. Still, here in Chicago, we're trying to push treatment, not trauma. We need more funding towards mental health services. They have the care team is a public safety issue, but we want more money towards mental health services, and you will have fewer people needing to call the police for a mental health crisis because we have other workers that you could call, and it doesn't have to escalate to the point of someone calling people with guns to solve every problem. My loved one's having a mental health crisis. Let me call some people with guns to come help us deal with it.
Yeah, that makes no logical sense. One, they're not trained to deal with people that have mental health issues. You need a mental health professional, like somebody that's went into school and studied and has practical experience, not somebody with a gun that just shoots off. I'm gonna stop
because that doesn't lead towards law and order.
It doesn't even lead. Yeah, Joe Biden. I'm gonna give more money to the police and give them better weapons. What? And you're okay with this? You want me to go in the booth and vote for a man that described, because at the time he was running before that terrible debate. He literally said, I'm a Zionist. So I'm voting for him because of what? Because he's not Trump. Okay. Where has that gotten me?
Gotten us to President Trump. Is where it's gotten us.
They're literally like, if you look at, here's the thing I say, if people just look at what their congressman, don't look at what your congressperson is saying. Look at how they're voting, right? They're voting to increase the military budget. They're voting to decrease SNAP, whether they're Democrat or Republican. You just had a series of Democrats vote for Trump appointments. Tell me how they're different.
With Booker with this filibuster, right after he had this 25-hour filibuster, they turned around and voted for a Trump appointee for ambassador or something like that. After that 25-hour thing, he turned around and voted for a Trump. They all voted for a Trump appointee.
I believe it was like, and then it's like you again, y'all, they're playing in y'all faces. They're playing in y'all faces. Like, I don't know how, no other term I can use, because I'm literally like, look, guys, look at what's happening. Ask yourself, like, my number one issue is Medicare for all. There's no doubt about it. When I hear Oh, I'll veto Medicare for all. Okay, that means I'm not voting for you. I don't care about the Affordable Care Act, which I think is garbage. I don't want to hear, I'm going to lower prescription. No, 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 no. I want the government to build a single payer healthcare system. I want nothing less than that. And I'm not willing to accept anything less than that, right? So
Or
it's like they're,
support anybody that's accept anything less than that.
well, no, because this is what they'll say. Well, you can't all have it at once. Why not? You get billionaires tax cuts all at once. You have
Things
no
go up all the way at once. It just doesn't come back down all at once.
Yeah, it's like you have no problem giving billionaires tax cuts, but you have problems increasing SNAP funding.
Or any social services. And
If it benefits people, it doesn't get passed. And the Democrats, to me, have made excuse after excuse. Well, we don't have the numbers. Vote better. Why should I vote for you when you've proven that to me you can't do anything? When you had power, you didn't act. Now you want to make this big commotion. Well, we're not in power. Well, what can we do?
So when we get these subcommittees with Justice for All, especially platform committee, we're going to definitely be trying to push that publicly and sharing that with as much as possible so they can see what Justice for All parties stand for. Even if we end up sticking with the same platform from the election, we're going to be pushing that and letting people know where we stand and where we're not going to compromise and where we can't be bought out because we don't have enough money for y'all to, I mean, basically, we're not, going on for handouts for, for super donations and the vote whichever way. Basically, the platform is what we're going to be pushing, the Justice for All party platform, and hopefully that will see, solidify us in the hearts of people. I guess the work starts here, pushing that, the platform, and making sure everybody knows what we standing for. And last week, Joel and them talked about the political education committee, where right now it's a political educational advisory committee council, but that also is going to hopefully influence the platform and back and forth and make sure people know what Justice for All party, where we stand union wise, where we stand on women's reproductive rights, etc., etc.
Yeah, because there's
rights,
exactly
educational freedom,
right. And I promised y'all I'm going to get to Justice for All, but I want to say this: when you decide, let me backtrack this. You have to decide what you won't compromise on. So here's the compromise I'm willing to make: minimum wage, living wage. I'm for a $35 minimum wage. I'll just say, Tracy did this me, not everybody out there. I say it should be $35 an hour, just across the board. Of course, higher in places like Hawaii, California, etc. If a politician says I'm for 32, okay, I'll compromise with that because it's way better than $7.50, which doesn't allow you to live any place. That's a place where I could compromise, but everything else, I'm like, no, I'm not compromising on destroying the military complex. I'm not going to compromise on destroying American imperialism. I'm not going to compromise on, there are so many things that we have to stand up for, right? And this is why we need volunteers, right?
A lot of what you just said you won't compromise on is a lot of what Dr. West was stressing during the campaign. Anti-imperialism was like one of the core pillars, as well as educational freedom, Black liberation, workers' rights, etc. I mean, I got a whole list of things that I had copied from his platform, but for example, as far as minimum wage, a compromise, how about raising it? It hasn't raised since Uh,
2000 and something. It's got to be
right.
like 10 years.
It was the first Obama term, maybe, or before that, possible. I don't know, but it hasn't raised since it was 725. But everything else is going up steadily, except for minimum wage federally.
And they're patting themselves on the back. Well, tips won't get taxed. Who can live off of tips? Like, if you work in a wait staff setting, one, some people are cheap and they don't tip at all, which y'all trifling. If y'all do that, y'all trifling. And then some places, like, if people tip, it's not very much. So, you're not going to tip $2.50. You know how much people would have to be tipping, like $10, $20 per meal, right? It's like you're congratulating yourself when you should talk about what they're doing in Georgia. There's a Waffle House in Georgia, which I'm going to talk about tomorrow. They have gone on strike because they're like, we don't want tips anymore. We want a wage. And Rue, by the way, said 2009. That's the last time the minimum wage increase was 2009.
Yeah, 16
That's
years.
what 16. Yeah, my math is terrible. 16 years. And you have conservatives like, yeah, it should be dictated by the states. No.
So, yeah, 3 different presidents have already decided not to raise the minimum wage. So, President Obama in 2016, Biden in 2020. No, I'm sorry. President Obama during his first term, Trump didn't, Biden didn't, and now Trump, when he went to the fast food restaurant and was shaking up the fries and everything, he didn't mention, by the way, I'm not giving y'all a raise. So y'all
and then he didn't even wear a hairnet. I'm like, you trifling. You're supposed to be wearing a hairnet. Let me bring myself down. I'm like, he didn't have a hair. Boy, put your hairnet on. But anyway, I want to talk about why it is that you decided, you know what, I'm going to be on this steering committee. I'm going to just go ahead and put myself down, and I'm going to sign up.
Well, what led to that is, well, number one, not winning this election, and also wanting to keep this going as not as a political party, but also an organization that can a community organization, so we can do groundwork things, not just electorally, but also community building and connecting with other organizations as well, and keeping it active. And then when 2028 does come along, we have a track record of organizing, of getting on ballots in certain states, and hopefully people will have won elections and be serving. So when 2028 comes along, whatever the Justice for All party does in that election, people won't be saying, what's that? If anything, they won't be saying, what's that? Hopefully they can agree, disagree with what we're about, but they won't be saying, who is that? What's that? It'll be have a track record by the next election. So it won't be someone just, y'all just popped up and want to be a third party and take votes away from the Democrats. Y'all gonna get Vance re-elected or something. And that's not what, hopefully we're trying to get to the point where building and be a viable option for voters who are skeptical about anything besides the duopoly or the uniparty, as I've heard some people call it.
I think you said everything except for one thing. That takes money, y'all. I don't know what rock so many people are living under. We is not asking you to mortgage your house. We're saying, let me go back and find this little clip. I'm gonna go up here because August the 30th, and we're talking about candidates. The goal of this $25,000 when we raise it, because I think it'll be a win, not an if, is to the federal government says that to have a candidate, and I'm talking 2026 because that's the sooner election than 2028, to be recognized as a party, you have to have 14 different candidates in 5 regions across the country that run for office, and they have to raise $5,000 each. If we can raise $25,000, we have just funded 5 candidates, and we've met half the goal. And that will leave us just 9 to go. So keep that in mind. To be recognized as a party, we have to have at least, I believe it's a minimum of 14 people. 14 people in 5 different regions that have to run as a run. To be recognized as a party, we have to have 14 people, 5 different regions, raise $5,000. Money is not, I know the US government can print money, but we can't, right? You, we're not here getting PAC money. We're not here getting money from APAC or Big Pharma or any of those people. We need people power, right? Because we have the voices. We just need, until we get publicly financed elections and change our election laws, this is the avenue we have to go through. Oh, it's 12 or more. I'm sorry, I said 14, but 12 or more.
So that's even news to me. I'm learning this a lot as we go. Matter of fact, you asked what got me interested in the steering committee. Once it was meeting with Israel and Mike and them, and also Mike McCorkle was saying, all right, anyone shows up at the next meeting, you're gonna be drafted into the steering committee. But once we started having these meetings, it was a lot of times I had to keep myself from saying, you can do that? We can do, because I didn't know anything about how it's run and how it goes. We can do that? How do you do that? Instead of just asking that, I would just sit back and act like I know stuff all along. Okay, yeah, through the whole process. But I was learning a lot as we went along. And like what you just said about the 12 or more candidates and how much they need to raise, that's some studying I'm gonna have to get into, especially now that I'm a treasurer. So I got to figure out how to get the paper up, as they say, if they still call it paper. I know that paper is printed on cotton nowadays, so who knows what you call it. But I gotta do some studying on fundraising and funding candidates and what have you. Now, that's my thing. Like I said, beginning of today, when I woke up, I had no intention of being a treasurer or serving as treasurer, but serve where I'm needed. So I'm gonna figure that out.
And I said it off air, and I'm gonna say it on air. As long as they didn't put my name in nobody's mouth, y'all don't know how great. Oh my goodness, I'm like, thank y'all. Y'all know exactly what y'all doing. Thank you. I salute each and every person that didn't say, well, Tracy would be good. No, she wouldn't.
Minister of social media
Oh no. Oh, no. This podcast, you just mentioned something really funny. Somehow this podcast is the official, unofficial podcast of the Justice for All Party. I don't know when it happened, but it's like, it's unofficial, official. It's both at the same time. I'm like, well, it's not officially the podcast.
You have interviewed some of the big names. So,
I have though. Dr. West 3 times. I'm just saying 3 times.
Right. He wouldn't come here if you didn't have some officiality to it.
But I appreciate it, but I'm like, nah, the podcast, that's just enough for me. I mean, I'm a volunteer on other committees. But I'm like, no, podcast, that's enough right there. I'm like, because for me, if somebody had told me 4 years ago or 3 years ago, or when I organized the Medicare for All March in Indiana, that I would be sitting here on a national steering committee to create a political party, I would have laughed in their face. I'd have been like, ha, you got to be out of your mind. It ain't work I want to do. It's too tedious. I'm just amazed. I don't know who talked me into it. I think Paris and Israel talked me into it. I was just like,
yeah, me too.
Okay, I guess. I don't know what I could offer. But yeah,
I guess instead of saying I don't know nothing about any of this, say, hey, let's give it a shot, and whatever we don't know, we'll learn along the way.
I feel like that too. It's like, I didn't know that. Really? You could do that? I don't be one. I'm like, I don't want to sound like I'm dumb, but you can do that?
And then act like you knew all along,
See, I'm not a good, even though I grew up in theater, I'm a terrible, like, if I don't know something, you pretty much go, if I don't know something, this is where coming from podcast world, I'm going to ask what I don't know. If I don't know anything, like I didn't know about modern monetary theory, I was like, I don't know anything about it. I knew my audience wanted to talk about it, so I said, I know what I'll do. I'll get somebody on here that does know about it. Things that I don't know about, I have no problems asking questions. None. Zero. I'm not one of those fake it till you make it people. I'm just going to ask. Now I'm like, now if I just sound stupid, oh well, that I guess that's it is what it is. But I've never um been afraid to ask or say what I don't know. Because I feel like if I don't learn, that's a chance for me to learn. And I've learned a whole lot being on this steering committee.
Yeah, I'm learning and still learning and going over some of the notes. Like every meeting we had, I was writing down stuff that happened, and I'm gonna read back over some of that stuff as well. And yeah, I mean it's a learn as you go. Whatever you don't know, just figure you're gonna learn it. I'm gonna learn it. I'm gonna figure this out, and the best thing is if I fail or don't live up to treasurer, I know if I am replaced, I'll be replaced by somebody qualified. The party keeps going, you know.
Right. And you won't
Party,
get an attitude when you replace.
right? Because we still about the Justice for All party and supporting it as a member, executive, whatever. We're here because we had the same goal in mind, you know, growing this party nationally, statewide, etc.
Now, Rue, by the way, we gonna have to bring you on and have this discussion and me sit you down and tell you the 15,500 time why Tracy Carson is not running for office. She is not ready to run for office in 2026. She thinks there are better candidates out there.
I might not have even won as treasurer if some of y'all knew my history with payday loans back in the day.
Oh, child. I was like, oh, no.
Mm.
Mm. Let's see. There's another comment came in. Because Tracy, no. I don't know. Okay, so we go. And then he says, it's the official podcast. But no, it's unofficial. It's official, unofficial. It's both at the same time because nobody's ever said, this is the podcast for the Justice for All party. Nobody's
There's
ever
no
said
more official podcast. I mean, there's no one more official than you right now. I got to give you that. All right. Who has a more official podcast than
well,
than
it's
this?
the only one. It's the only podcast that is specifically geared towards the Justice for All party. But it's still not official would mean it's on the website. You go right to justiceforall.us and say, yep, there it is right there. No. Nope. I disagree because I would like to see it I'd like to see the podcast reach. He said I said it. Okay, you said it. You did say it.
Oh, Alizarin.
Yes, that's a good one. Tell us what. Yes, thank you. I think that's
okay.
Windra, right? Yeah, that might be Windra.
That's who Alizarin is.
That might be Windra.
I know that. Windra, matter of fact, Windra is the membership secretary. Windra that just recently got elected as well, or a different Windra.
Nope, same one. It's only one.
Okay, all right. Well, all right. I've been a probation officer at the juvenile court in Cook County for the last 30 years, working with young men on mostly on the south side, and got involved with I'm actually basically going to be retiring next month, so I can spend more time with Justice for All party business and organizing on that level. And pretty much got into petitioning last year. That was my first, I guess, grassroots organizing of any kind, was petitioning last year. And then this year picked it up more with doing some tabling with this referendum we're trying to get passed in Chicago. So I guess I hit the streets for Dr. West and just still been on them. And now trying to get some interest in Illinois for the Justice for All party statewide, so we can get on the ballot in Illinois and slate some candidates here as well. And we're working with young men. Also been interested in working with young Black men since I was in school. I was a social worker before that and went to juvenile court. And now I guess my new post-retirement career is going to be working with Justice for All party and Chicago Alliance Against Racist and Political Repression as well. And I guess if there's any questions that I left out because I've never been asked that question before, so if there's any questions, I can answer them. I guess.
Okay, so I have a question. Oh, well, Nelson's got a comment first. So Nelson says that's okay. Cornel West is a professor and doesn't have any experience in being president, but that doesn't mean he would have made a great. Let me tell you something. If Cornel West had gotten elected to be president, see, God knew what he was doing because he knows my heart, right? I'm extremely petty. This is one of the things about myself I try not to be. I would have called up every Democratic voter because the way that I got talked about and slanderized for voting for Dr. West and standing up against genocide, I've been like, yeah, what was y'all really have never seen my other side. I try to keep it, contained. Um, he would have made a fantastic president. And Dr. Abdullah would have definitely made a fantastic vice president. I think about how different things would be. People are like, well, how would he govern? Just like Trump is doing and Biden did through executive orders. That's what they did. Why can't Dr. West do it?
People love to talk about experience. Nobody has experience when they first elected as something, So, or what would you do with foreign policy? No one has dealt with foreign policy until they've been elected as president. So, the experience thing is just something people want to put out there when they want to poo-poo a candidate, want to say, no, he doesn't have experience or he doesn't this or that. What was Trump's qualification, to be honest? How was he more qualified than anybody?
Okay, I'm going to answer that question. Here's what I'll say, and I am not giving Trump. He's a terrible president. Let me say that first. He's terrible. But the one thing that Trump does well that I wish third parties like Justice for All Party could do, he speaks to people and he doesn't use a bunch of terms that nobody knows what he's talking about. If I hear neo-fascist, neoliberal, oligarchy, nobody's
I know he doesn't know. I can't imagine him trying to define any of those terms.
Oh, she wants to know, do you have family, pets? Do you fish? What's your favorite meal?
I got a
favorite movie.
Oh, favorite movie. Oh man. I got different genres. I guess my favorite musical movie, probably Crush Groove. Favorite action movie is between Face Off and Return of the King. Favorite comedy would be between Stir Crazy and what's that? Something About Mary. No. Me, Myself, and Irene. So between Stir Crazy and Me, Myself, and Irene, and I would say musical, action, and comedy. I don't really have a favorite drama movie. Just I like a lot of drama movies. I don't like horror movies at all. I mean, I can watch the news and see real life for horror. Why I need to see pay to see more horror? The most horrible thing that can happen in a movie is probably happening somewhere on earth in real life. I don't need to go pay to see that. I like horror movies where the horrible person or monster gets killed and there's no sequels. But when you're gonna have 14 sequels, why do I need to see one? It's gonna keep continuing. So yeah, I say Face Off, Crush Groove, and Stir Crazy. For action.
None of the do you fish?
Oh, do I fish?
That's the question. Do you fish?
Oh man, I've been fishing. I had an uncle that lived in Tupelo. I went fishing with him, but that was over 20 years ago. When I do fish, I catch fish though. I know what I'm doing. I just don't do it that often.
And what about family?
Family, single man. I got nephews, nieces, sisters, aunts, cousins, but that's pretty much it. Most of my family is right here in Chicago with me. But I got family in Arkansas, a little bit in Memphis, California, but for the most part, Chicago. Everybody's in Chicago.
Look who checked himself in. Hello, Paris. Congratulations, Jay. We need to seriously consider this as... No, we don't. Listen, I did not start... then take the necessary steps to make it happen. It's unofficial. It's not official. It is not. Listen, Listen, y'all come real close. It is not the official podcast. This is something Tracy wanted to do, right? Tracy, a supporter of the Justice for All Party. Me, this person. Now, I trust and believe. I appreciate the kudos and all of that, but no, I wanted to talk about these last few minutes something else. And I've been starting to ask this question, and I've asked it the past couple of podcasts. What is it that you've learned about yourself serving on the steering committee that you didn't know about yourself before?
I'm gonna put some thought into that. I don't want to just answer. I'm gonna think about that for a second. What I learned about myself serving on the steering committee. I guess that I have before I served on the steering committee, I would not have guessed that I have a willingness to be this involved in something that requires any kind of time commitment. Like I'm good at showing up on the spur of the moment, but to have scheduled meetings that I'm expected to be at on a weekly basis or keeping a schedule, I guess, through the process, I find out that okay, I am involved. I am about this, and I am interested in furthering the party and growing this as a party. I didn't know how interested I was at first. I was initially I was going, okay, I'll be a part of a team and I'll go along, but as like an executive or leadership type position, I didn't think I was willing to do that. But now, as needed, I guess, so I'll do whatever is needed. And it turned out that willingness is more than I thought it was, so I'm more willing than I thought I was initially. The way you're not willing to make this the official podcast.
Yeah, I'm just like,
maybe you'll learn later that okay, maybe I can rock with this. I can't be the
with a different host. Absolutely. If the hosts were different and it wasn't me, oh yeah, automatically. But not me. I'm good in the background. I think that, when I'm asking you the question now, I'm going to answer it. I learned that I need to work on being patient. I have no patience. I have very little patience. I'm the type of person, you just tell me what the job is and let me go do it. I don't need to know all the planning and that stuff is necessary, right? It's necessary to go to those planning sessions. And that's what serving on the committee made me learn is, you do have to take steps. You do have to set up bylaws. You do have to figure out, you're going to go Robert's Rule of Order, star system, or how you're going to vote for things. That's what I learned about myself is I can learn to develop patience. Because normally it was just like when I first started this podcast, not this one, but my previous one. I just started it. I didn't think about it. I didn't make any plans. But as it went along, yeah, that's when you started to think. And I think that's what I'm learning about myself is I can be more pragmatic. I can be more of a planner than I've been and not just jump into something like, okay, let me just do it. Although that's important, right? Because we're going to need people to gather petitions, be canvassers, work phone banks, work text banks. We're going to need all of that, right? And we're building towards that. My down setting was I didn't want to build towards that. I already wanted it to be completed. And it doesn't work like that. It just does not work like that. And that's what I realized.
You wanted the bricks and mortar.
I wanted the whole house with furniture, 2 cars in the garage, a barbecue pit. And I didn't think, you got to build it. You got to build the foundation. I didn't think about the bricks.
Nope. And one of the things I also learned is how little I know, like steering committee. I didn't know what a steering committee was. I didn't know what Robert's Rules was. I didn't know the difference between bylaws and charters and all that. A lot of that I was sitting along, and then once it came out, then I was acting like I knew all along. But steering committee, Robert's Rules, I learned that, especially the abbreviated one. I can, better than the longer one. But a lot of the stuff I was learning for the first time, and that's one thing I learned about how little I know about this whole process of building a party membership, and what constitutes a party and all of that. So now I like to say when I'm telling my coworkers when I'm retiring, I'm gonna go into party planning, the party planning business. The way they look at wedding planners, but not necessarily parties with balloons and what have you. But still, I'm considering myself a party planner, I guess now.
And the next question. Oh, we got some more comments. Ruby's Way says thanks for the second. Mr. Chair, gotta explain that one. Don't know that. Appreciate you're out there as a digital forefront. I'm still laughing at that, but I guess I'm gonna have to learn how to take compliments. So we've talked about why you went, or let me backtrack and ask this question in a way that's gonna make sense. Where would you like to see the Justice for All party be at in 3 years?
In 3 years, I would like to see the Justice for All party. Here, the same way we were saying, how come Dr. West can't get invited to these debates? I would like to see. I don't expect it to happen in 3 years, but I would like to hear more people saying, how come the Justice for All party ain't at these debates? How come there's only 2 people at these debates? How come you only got 2 parties at these debates? So I guess in 3 years, to be at the point where at least more people are asking about us and not just asking who Justice for All party is, but how come Justice for All party didn't this? How come y'all didn't include Justice for All party? And I see y'all talking about this party, that party. How come you didn't? No one mentioned Justice for All party. Hopefully, we'll get to the point where more people are mentioning us or mentioning that we're not mentioned. If that makes sense.
That makes perfect sense, and that was a great answer. Because then you don't have to go into a 15-minute explanation. It's like, okay, see, this is what, and this is what. That was a great answer. Paris adds, okay, hold on a second. We can't fix what we don't acknowledge. Trump's demagoguery, hope that's what that word is, tapped into systematic racist undercurrents. And then we are also fortunate you stepped in, Jay. Yes, we really are. We appreciate it. Mm-hmm. And here's the final question, because I like to be respectful of people's time. If you were talking to Joe Public and Jane Public, or Joe Doe and Jane Doe, and you could tell them one thing about why it is they should get involved with the Justice for All party, what would you tell them? And I have 2 questions, and I'll ask the last question here after you answer this one.
Why would, let's say, Joe Public, why should they get involved in Justice for All party?
Exactly.
I guess a truly independent party that belongs to you, the voter, and only you, the voter. I guess that's what I would say. A party that truly belongs to voters and nobody else. I mean, because if we did, we'd have more money. So obviously, right now we belong to all the broke voters. Just for now.
That was a great answer. And final question. This is a new one that I pulled out last week. And so I'm going to start asking this question. Why is it that when I sent out requests for people to appear on the podcast, did you agree to come?
I didn't want to be the only person who didn't agree to come, I guess.
No, you're not the only one.
I was afraid everyone was going to agree, and then who's this Trump?
They don't want to be interviewed by me, or you're like, yep, I want to be left out.
That's the only reason I'm here now, because I was afraid of
Tracy. You're such a great interviewer, and you just do such a wonderful job.
Well, that too. You do have great interviews. That ones with Dr. West and with the other West. I forgot his
Anahita.
His brother.
Clifton.
Clifton West. Right. Those great interviews as well. So yeah, that is the other reason, is because, you know, for me to have my first interview with anybody anywhere, is I'm glad it's with somebody who knows what she's doing. You know?
Well, I appreciate that. Guys, this hour went by real quick. We got one more comment.
Hey Tracy, for us, it's been about a 4 hours that's been going by, right?
Oh, have we seen each other all day? I'm like, dang, I'm tired of seeing. You must be thinking, I'm tired of seeing. Well, you didn't see my face in the last one because my hair was like all over the. It wasn't looking cute. Well, it don't look cute now, but it was looking worse. So yeah, we've been together what since 4? Since 4 o'clock.
4 Eastern time, yeah.
Yes.
So, yeah.
What makes this process of creating a party so difficult is because of the controls the duopoly has in the government. We are swimming upstream against the current, but we must not give up. Exactly. Guys, this has been such a great interview. Another great one. Like my other 15 previous shows, I always extend to my guests to appear again. So you know I'll be calling like, hey, I need you to come on. But I am going to remind you again, 2 things. Tomorrow, 6 o'clock p.m., Tracy's Weekend Review. And next week, there will not be a Justice is Here podcast next week. Instead, I am doing my 4th annual Black Voter Forum. I've done it 4 years in a row. Our voices, our future will be on at 6 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Remember to like this podcast, share this podcast, subscribe. And lastly, mark your calendars, Saturday, August the 30th, 6 p.m. Join us for the Justice for All Fundraising-A-Thon. We will have special guests, entertainment, and learn how you can get involved and help us to raise $25,000. That will be in one night. I'm preparing for a 3-hour show. Yes, we're going to do it. We're going to raise $25,000, hopefully more. But mark it on your calendars now. I'll be talking a little bit more about that 14th in terms of what it is I'm looking for, the talent I'm seeking, et cetera, et cetera. But if you're on the Justice for All committee mailing list, you should have already gotten this email that I'm looking for talent. But remember that. Thank you, everybody. Remember to join me tomorrow at 6 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time for Tracy's Weekend Review. I'm going to take us down to do the outro. Have a good evening. Jay, is there anything else that you want to say?
Thanks for having me on, Tracy, and I guess everybody listening, if you see me and want to give me an envelope, I won't be offended, and donate as much as you can, whenever you can, as often as you can. And when you're out there pushing the Justice for All party and people say, hey, you ain't got this, you ain't got that, where's your this? Say, this is what independence looks like. We'll get that when we, raise more money, but this is what independence looks like right now,
Exactly. So we're going to bring up the outro. Thank you all so much for this great discussion. We will see you all next week. Have a fantastic evening. Well, most of you will see me next week, but hopefully you'll tune in tomorrow, 6 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Have a great evening, everybody.
All right. Peace, everybody.